right. Okay, so we're going to be moving on. We're honored to have Supervisor Steve Miller here from Pinal County, District 3. He's going to be talking about the water situation and the Pinal County perspective on the drought contingency plan. And then again, we're going to have Sharon Megdal, and she's going to give us the basics about the drought contingency plan, as well as the impact to Pinal area farmers. But Supervisor Miller, I'm going to read your bio. Thank you so much for sending this. He's an Arizona native, so that's great. A resident of Pinal County for more than 45 years. He took office as supervisor in January 2013 of District 3, representing the Casa Grande region. Supervisor Miller was nominated by his peers on the board to be the first chairman of the now 5-member Pinal County Board of Supervisors. Supervisor Miller served more than 10 years on the Casa Grande City Council, giving him valuable experience in public service, budget management, and leading government out of more than one fiscal crisis. Supervisor Miller's professional experience was in lumber and truss manufacturing business and as a licensed contractor for both residential housing and commercial development in Arizona and New Mexico. He's remained active in civic and political causes throughout his career, and he's always wanting to give back. He's volunteered over the years for many community organizations, from food banks to youth programs. He's also active in promoting economic development in all sectors: agriculture, manufacturing and distribution centers, which has created long-term employment for our local citizens. He has now been named to several water committees by the governor's office and was asked to chair an ad hoc committee that was called by Representative Cook to address the Pinal Active Management Area's water profile. With his wife, Lori, Supervisor Miller's raised 3 children, and as adults now, they also call Pinal County home, and he has 6 grandchildren. So thank you so much, Supervisor Miller. I'm going to unmute you, and feel free to take it away. And attendees, again, feel free to type any questions in the chat box. Thank you, Supervisor Miller.
All right, thank you, Sharma. Does everybody hear me all right?
Yes.
So, well, after listening to Nancy's job as supervisor, I feel like a slacker. she covers some ground with her job as a supervisor. So, and I've known Nancy for a number of years. She's a great representative for this area. And thank you, Nancy, for all the work you do there. And thank you, Sharma, for inviting me to participate today. I may be speaking somewhat to the choir on Pinal County's water issue, because I think I can tell by the speakers and the topics here, Pinal County seems to be the epicenter of water and the future of water in Arizona and some of the challenges we're going to have coming forward. And and it started probably with the DCP and the reduction in agricultural availability in the future. So a little bit of background on Pinal County. It is a unique county in that it has 3 AMAs within its boundaries. 2 of them are safe yields, and 1 of them is a managed depletion. And then we have probably close to a third, if not more, of the county that is not under any AMA rules, is that basically open to any of the other regulations that don't apply to AMAs. So, we have a lot of balls in the air and a lot of things to look at as we discuss water for the future of Pinal County. So to drill down to the specifics of the Pinal AMA and the DCP, I think one of the things that came out of that is somewhat challenging is the reduction and the mitigation for the reduction of the CAP water that has come into this area for a number of years. It's going to be cut back, and so the mitigation is to drill more wells. That can be good and that can be bad, but it is probably one of the things that stands out in the water community as is this really the right thing to do, and how are we going to manage it going forward? So certainly has been a a challenge. You take an industry such as agriculture in Pinal County, $2.3 billion, they say, on an annual basis. It's probably some of the most productive farmland in the state, maybe in some of the regions. I mean, I've heard, the upper 2% of the quality of farms that are here in the United States. And typically what it amounts to is what's the best use of these lands when their productions are so high and they are valuable in that way. What was on that other slide there? If you ate today, you can thank a farmer. And there's a lot of truth to that. And from my resume, you can see I made a living putting rooftops on some of those lands over the years. And is that really the right use of that land going forward? I think it's going to be an economics in the future. I think we really have to evaluate how we want to use these lands and protect them for production, or do we want to cover them with rooftops? There's all kinds of debate about that, and so we just really need to study it, I think, closer. The last presenter, that's some really interesting ideas there that I have toyed with about probably putting some lands into some type of conservation, protected conservation for the future in farmlands. So I think there's a multitude of solutions out there. Finding the right combination that's going to work for more years is one thing. I really applaud Sharon's group for doing some conservation studies for us. I think conservation is going to be a key to the future of Pinal County and its water. I applaud the city of Casa Grande for adding a water component to their general plan. That's with the idea that we're going to have to learn how to conserve water in the future, and at Pinal County for our comprehensive plan. It's the same as a general plan, but we call it a comprehensive plan. We are looking at really implementing some more conservation ideas for the future of Pinal County and development in this area. I don't have a slideshow to present with, as I told you, Sharp. I think maybe I better work one up to where I can make sure I cover all the topics. But I just think that Pinal County, I want to come from the stakeholders group that we have a lot of people working with. It's a possible roadmap for the future of Arizona, and the water challenges are not going to be unique just to Pinal County. I can tell you that there's other parts of the state that are already facing some of these same types of issues, and we're really going to have to study how and where we want to put production of agriculture and where we might want to put housing. So unless anybody has any questions for me, that's really the comprehensive. We have a lot of irons in the fire. We have a lot of issues. Oh, let me touch on one other thing I do want to bring up. We are looking at legislation to help relieve the problem. I think in the development community, you hear that they can't get certificates of assured water to the 100-year program. The good thing to that, the positive to that, is just in the Casa Grande area, there's probably already over, there's somewhere around 20 to 25,000 lots that are already certificated. So it's not like they're out of lots tomorrow. It's going to give us an opportunity to really develop some programs and to manage this going forward. The stakeholders have great communication with the Department of Water Resources. It may seem like baby steps to individuals that have large land holdings and are worried about what the future of Pinal County looks like. But I appreciate the Department of Water Resources spending the time for us to help come up with solutions. So I think that those are two major things. There will be some legislation this year to help relieve some of those issues, and there will be continued discussions with the Department of Water Resources. So
Thank you,
nothing else. I mean,
Supervisor.
I'm glad to answer any questions on the big picture of Pinal County, but I'm going to be the optimist and say we're going to work it out and we're going to come up with solutions for this area for the future.
Thank you, Supervisor Miller. We definitely need optimists. So yeah, thank you for that, because we need more like you. One quick question. I don't have any
Sure.
questions from folks, and please type them in the chat box if you have any for Supervisor Miller or Phil or Nancy at this point. But one thing, Supervisor Miller, could you explain the 100-year assured water supply for those that don't know what that is?
Okay. Yeah, briefly, that's it's interesting. If you develop a subdivision with more than 5 lots, okay, and this was, so if you subdivide a piece of land and you have more than 5 lots, the Department of Water Resources says you need to get a certificate of assured water from us. And this is where it's really crazy, because it ties back to the real estate laws. So in order to sell lot number 6 or more, you have to have a certificate of assured water. And there you have to prove that you have availability, financial, and physical availability of that amount of water that will serve that subdivision. Of course, they use engineers to determine how much water is going to be used for 100 years on that subdivision. You can work with designated water providers like Arizona Water or Global Water, but anyway, you still need to prove up that there is enough water for those homes for 100 years. That's the simplistic part about it. And what has really caused Pinal County to come to this, the epicenter of, there are no more certificates of assured waters that are being issued, because basically what has happened is they've reconciled the books as they sat down and figured out all the water certificates that have been issued. Then they look at the use by the agriculture, they look at the use by industry, and the Department of Water Resources says, basically, we've used all the water that's available at this point in time. And I can get into a lot of technical issues about that, but some of that has to do with water that has been reserved, that hasn't been used. And then, as I said, the 25,000 lots that have been issued a certificate, but they count that as already being used, whether they will develop entirely. And that's how and why we've ended up with this stagnant situation here in Pinal County as far as providing certificates of assured water. And that if that makes the link to individuals owning the land that had the idea that they were going to subdivide them and turn them into lots and not able to get certificates going forward. So that's where some of that issue is.
Thank you.
Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you, Supervisor Miller, for explaining that. We don't have any questions typed in the box. I'll also say one thing. There's a couple folks on the phone. If you have any questions, you can text them to me. This is Sharma Torrens, 602-540-5331. And again, Supervisor Miller, are you going to stick around for a few minutes in case we get some late questions?
I will. I'll stick around for a few minutes. Absolutely. Glad to.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Supervisor Miller. We're grateful that you joined us, and we really appreciate you being here and all the information you shared and your optimism for sure. So I'm going
And
to
I-
put you on mute, and if anyone has any questions, Supervisor Miller will be around.